Have you ever came across an author that strikes you in a way to where you can relate to them and you just feel like you have to read everything that they have ever published? And I mean like back to back to back to back, like no breaks in between. No, you're not going to any other authors. You just this author and you're reading everything that they've ever written. Or am I the only one? That's hard to believe I'm the only one. I can't believe that I'm the only one. I refuse to believe I'm the only one. But that is what happened to me. Let's get started. The first book we have for you is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. And I'm pretty excited about this one because this is the first book that I read ahead of the film being out. Steven Spielberg recently announced that he's picking it up, but did not specify whether it'll be a movie or like a series. So nevertheless, I'm excited for it. But yeah, the setting is in Pottstown, Pennsylvania, in like the 1930s. And this book overall gives you a good sense of community. I was drawn in my entire time reading it. I liked it a lot. But the setting is in Pottstown, Pennsylvania in the 1930s. But the first scene in the book is in the 1970s where workers are digging and they discover a skeleton. And so, not to spoil anything, but at the beginning of the book, you are thinking that is a plot of the book. It is not. To critique it, that was probably my only critique, if anything. Towards the end of the book, I did not feel like, you could have left that out. But nevertheless, I still like this book. Like I said, it gives you an overall good sense of community. So the Heaven and Earth Grocery Store is owned by Miss Chona and Mashi, ran by Miss Chona every day. And it serves the black and Jewish community, who are the only two people who occupy Pottstown. Mashi, I believe I'm saying his name right. Mashi, he owns a few theaters around the town, and Miss Chona runs the grocery store, serving the community all day. And Miss Chona is my favorite character. She's the one who embodies community. She stands up for people. She doesn't take nothing from nobody. She'll speak up for somebody who maybe can't speak for themselves. She defends people. And people love her because they know she's genuine. And in this book, you have a black and Jewish community. Mashi, while running the theater, he works with mostly black men. One of them being Nate, who has a past in itself, and who has a nephew who they call Dodo, because you might think he's dumb or whatever, but really he just can't talk. Because when he was a kid, in his house they had a stove that was faulty or malfunctioning and stuff, and him and his mom were in the kitchen, and it exploded, and I believe took his mother's life and took his hearing. So as he grew up, people thought he did not, he couldn't speak. He just was dumb, deaf and dumb. But so the government, the white people, whatever, they come looking for him in Pottstown, or they come around looking for him because he's not in school. He don't want to do nothing. So that Nate just been looking out for him ever since. That is when the community sort of comes together, and the goal is to hide Dodo and stop him from being taken to wherever they would like to take him. But as the book goes on, you fall in love with certain characters. You fall in love with the plot. You root for. I don't want to spoil the book, but you root for certain things to happen and certain things not to happen. But overall, I really like this book. I would recommend it for everybody. This is the book that introduced me to James McBride and had me literally laughing out loud. And people would look at me like, "You all right?" But Yeah, so you got to check it out whenever you get the chance. Next book we have is The Good Lord Bird. And this too was also brought to film. It was on Showtime in a series. But as you could tell, James McBride's book, they brought to film, brought to life. This is a book that's back in the slave times of the 1800s in the Kansas Territory, where prior to the Civil War. You have John Brown, who is an abolitionist, who's looking to free every single slave in his path. And you have Henry Shackelford, who is a young boy, who was a slave, him and his father. So I'll go ahead and read the first sentence for you. Here we are. I was born a colored man, and don't you forget it. But I lived as a colored woman for 17 years. So you have Henry Shackelford, who is a little boy that is mistaken as a girl once John Brown frees him. John Brown the first scene, the setting is they're in a barbershop where Henry's father usually cuts hair while Henry shines shoes. And John Brown comes in, disguised as someone else, calls him names someone else. His main goal being to free these slaves. And one thing leads to another. Their slave master kind of figures him out, knows he's John Brown once he, walks in there and stuff. And they get in a shootout. And Henry's father is killed in this shootout, leaving Henry by himself. So he is with John Brown over the next course couple years. John Brown mistakes him for a little girl, calls him Little Onion. And Henry did not correct him. So over the next 17 years, he lived as a girl. And this is a book that kind of grew on me along the way, but nevertheless, I did like the book. The sense of characters, you kind of grow towards a few of them. But it was kind of interesting. I like the fact how they, how the book got its name, why he named the book what he named it. And I kind of like that. But yeah, as the book goes, it, highlights Henry's journey and trying to be free, because in that initial scene where you would have thought she was freed or he was free, but no, he didn't consider himself free. He was trying to get away from John Brown, not, slavery. So yeah, I really like the book. And there's a sense of history throughout the book, along with James McBride's storytelling. So I like the way he blends the two. I would recommend you read it, and you can also watch it on Showtime. It was John Brown was played by Ethan Hawke, so they made a series out of it. It was pretty good. But I overall did like this book. So next book for you is Song Yet Sung. And depending on how you interpret this, this could be a short love story if you'd like. So, but the setting is in Maryland, Eastern Shore, and the story starts with the escape of a group of slaves. And in this group of slaves, you have Liz Spockett, who sees the future through visions or dreams. And along the way, she helps and inspires and gives hope to other slaves along her journey to freedom. But in this book, you see how slavery affects many lives, more lives just than the enslaved. You have slavers, the enslaved, you have slave catchers, and in this book, you have watermen. So throughout the book, over the course of the book, Liz's objective is to obviously stay free and obtain freedom. But in this book, you see how whether you are free legally or not, you still technically are not free. The way it's depicted in this book, because you have your community that comes together to try to, everybody's goal is freedom. And so you have a community that all works together to obtain this goal. And just throughout the book, you see a lot of things that affect just the lives of slaves that you may not have paid attention to or thought about prior to, reading the book. But James McBride, he does a pretty good job of being detailed and gives you a visual, whether you like it or not, as to what some of these slaves were going through. And so you get a good sense whether, you lived through it or not. But this is a good book. And the entire time I'm rooting for Liz, and I was interested to see how she accomplished what she set out to accomplish. And this is a pretty good book to where you get insight on certain things that you have not lived through, that you are grateful to not have lived through. So I believe James McBride did a good job in this one of details and letting you in, basically. Last book I have for you is Deacon King Kong, and I really did like this book, as I do all James McBride books. But as you can see, if you can, this is a part of the Oprah's book club back in 2020, which I checked religiously. But this story is about he's a deacon who is also a drunk. But it starts out him shooting the biggest drug dealer in Harlem. This is about a 65-year-old man named Sportcoat, who is a handyman. He's also a deacon. Everybody in the community knows him. But when he does that, when he shoots Dean, which is the drug dealer's name, it just sends the whole community into like a frenzy. Everybody speculating and guessing who did it. Even the local cops, they end up getting involved in the community and things like that. And this book highlights community, if you ask me, but it's a lot of characters to keep up with, which is my only probably critique, which is barely a critique. But I liked it a lot. And the plot and all throughout the book, Sportcoat is trying to find, everybody, including Sportcoat, is trying to figure out why he did it. And so just throughout the book, you get to see the character of Sportcoat himself, who's is not a horrible person. I know how it starts off, but as you read the book, you start to kind of gravitate towards him and feel for him, and in a way understand why he did it. But I enjoyed this book. I enjoyed the plot. I enjoy the way James McBride, he blends communities, and he just his storytelling in terms of to get his point across, and how you picture the scene by reading the way he puts his words together. Is you put a nice picture together in your head on what the scene is and what's happening and who's what, just everything. I don't think he misses a lot of details. There's a reason I like him a lot, and hopefully you feel that too, based on my book reviews of his books. But I really like this book. This is like so far, I have not read all his books. I've read about half, but this is like my second favorite. We could say 1A, 1B, between this being 1B to Heaven and Earth Grocery Store. But yeah, I appreciate you. Thank you guys for tuning into my first book review. Yeah, comment, like, subscribe, and feedback is welcome. So hope to see you guys again.